Manchester City have just signed one of the best young midfielders in the world in Bouaddi, but I think Enzo Maresca is going to surprise everyone in how he's going to use him. Now, when it comes to Bouaddi, I don't think people realize how special he actually is. He's 18, but he has close enough to 100 senior appearances already, which is just staggering. But more importantly, you see Bouaddi play the deepest role at midfield at times, and there's a reason for that. He's a defensive monster. You guys can see his defensive numbers on the screen here. Look how good his ground duel numbers are. Look how good his aerial duel numbers are. Look how good his tackle and interception numbers are. And you know what the scary thing is? You look at Bardi, he's still very, very lean in terms of his physique. He's still going to bulk out a bit more, which is just going to help him when he goes into duels. So imagine how good his duel numbers are now. City are going to get an even bigger monster when it comes to defensive duels, or let's say duels as a whole, as he progresses over the next couple years. Now, I want to further emphasize how good he actually is defensively. You guys can see this graphic on the screen here, which looks at tackles and interceptions adjusted by possession. He ranks 6th on this list for all midfielders in Ligue 1, and that is crazy. Look at some of the names ahead of it. Vertinha, Sangare, and we know how good Sangare played on the weekend. He's in very, very good company when it comes to this sort of category. But you guys know, I love something on this channel, and that is long legs, and Bouaddi has long legs. Now, long legs are beneficial in so many different areas, especially from a defensive point of view, in terms of it helps with defensive duels. But more importantly, Bouaddi uses his long legs just to wrap his foot around, wrap his leg around the attacking player with the ball. And you guys can see some examples on the screen here. He does a very good job at that when tackling the ball, and it obviously helps him massively that he just has those longer limbs, that he can wrap his leg around so easily and win the ball back. But there's an element of his game that he really has to improve on, and people are right. He's not the most progressive when it comes to his overall passing capabilities. There's so many times where in midfield he can be slightly, let's say, risk adverse. There's so many times where he has the ball and he can just play it through the lines just slightly more, and it will massively improve his game. And listen, it's kind of proven by the numbers. You guys can see his progressive numbers on the screen here. When it comes to forward passes, progressive passes, he's really on the lower percentile. But this is what people need to understand, and this is what this graphic is showing you. Bouaddi doesn't necessarily progress the ball through his passing. He progresses the ball through his ball carrying capabilities, which is obviously massively beneficial, especially considering how man-to-man football teams are these days. But more importantly, football is all about partnerships. Now, you guys can see, Bouaddi is not the best of, let's say, progressive passes, but you know who is? Elliot Anderson. Last season, Elliot Anderson in the Premier League ranked 3rd for progressive passes per 90. Midfielders are meant to complement one another. What Bouaddi likes, Elliot Anderson brings. Elliot Anderson is probably not as good of a, let's say, ball carrier as Bouaddi. They help one another, and you're looking at them stylistically as well. Let's say Elliot Anderson's a lot more intense in terms of how he runs around, but Bouaddi's a lot more dominant in terms of his duels. He's a bit more, let's say, structured in terms of the way he plays. They complement each other really, really well, and I'm looking forward to see how that partnership for City develops. Now, we've spoken about how Bouaddi can play in midfield, but one thing I really want to show you and open your eyes to is this graphic on the screen here. This is where Bouaddi initiates and completes threatening actions. Now, you guys can see there's a lot of, let's say, activity in that inside right channel. And that is very, very interesting, because how does Enzo Maresca like to use his right backs, or let's say fullbacks? He likes to have them coming inside, playing in those little pockets of space. Now, Bouaddi is someone that's actually played right back for Lille at times before. That's why I think Enzo Maresca might just use him there in certain games and certain game states. Now, the big positive regarding Bouaddi in that role is he's obviously, let's say, a competent, secure footballer that he can play in those little pockets of space. He's obviously very good at carrying the ball. And defensively, like I said, he stops transitions very well. And it also helps that he has the longer legs where he can win the ball back in wide areas. I think that's something that Maresca will definitely have a look at. Another element of his game that I think Bouaddi can work on is himself in the final third. Look at this example on the screen here. Bouaddi gets the ball in the inside right channel. He makes that darting run, and then he plays it across and Lille score. Bardi needs to do that a bit more, because he has that, let's say, technical quality where he can operate higher up. He just needs to show it a bit more, make, let's say, a higher volume of those situations, because he's playing alongside Elliot Anderson. Elliot Anderson and Bardi almost similar in a way where they're both 6-stroke 8s. They're going to have opportunities to attack. They're going to have opportunities to defend. Bardi needs to show a bit more in the final third where, listen, he can take his game up another level, because he's already, in my personal opinion, one of the biggest talents in that midfield area currently in world football. And there's a reason why City are paid 80-odd million for him. He's a top player. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how he obviously develops in the Premier League over the next couple of seasons, because he has all the potential, guys. If you guys are excited for the signing and obviously enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back soon.